guys, this is page number 2, and welcome back to my channel. And today we are working on our page number 2 of our mini series on mini album making 101. So I hope you will enjoy joining us, and I hope you will actually make this along with me. Okay, so here is the second sheet that I came up with, and we have 2 top flaps, flap, 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 flap. Okay, now you can get a lot of pictures on those. The flap sizes, make sure you can see this, are 7 inches by 4.5 inches, or 17.7 centimeters by 11.3 centimeters. We need 6 of those. And this looks complicated, but it's really just a flap and a hinge. That's all it is. It's just a piece of paper with a hinge on it. Burnish it over, glue it down. We're going to do a little bit more than that, and I will show you why. So, let me get set up and we'll get started. Okay, so we went over this, and here are the pieces and parts. There are 6 pieces that we cut out, and I had already given you the measurements for it. I believe it's 7 inches by 4.5 inches. Okay, we're going to get our scoreboard out, and we're going to take 4 of these, and we're going to score them, making sure now, just a reminder, that it's all the way against the edges, and score it 1/2 inch. And you're going to do that to all 4 of them. Okay. All 4 of them. All right. So, gonna fold the first one, burnish it, and we're going to take our hinge and we're going to cut off approximately 1/2 inch of the score line and the hinge. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball about 1/2 inch, and then we're going to cut the entire score line off, but that's it. Okay, so that's what we're going to end up with, just like that, and that's our hinge. Okay, so our mat is still 6.5 by 4.5, so it's going to be great for photos. Okay, so now here's the top of our paper. This one with the cut out of the hinge is going to be on the bottom. So now we're going to take our glue. We're going to close the hinge and put glue on that is facing up. Okay, so here's my top. I'm putting it on my top. I'm going to line up my corner. Use that area to kind of pivot it around. You want to make sure it fits across the top nicely and down the side nicely. As you want to come off of the edge of the paper just a little bit. I mean, I can barely run my fingernail to get the glue off. So it is off. I can just get my nails on the edge of the paper. I don't know. I can just get my nail on the edge of the paper. I don't know if I'm doing it where you can see it or not. Anyway, it's not flush. And now, so here's your top. It's not flush with this edge. It's just a little teeny bit, like a pencil line worth in. Okay? And then we're going to get this extra glue off. If you are always having a bunch of extra glue, then you just need to back off of how much glue you put, or you need to make sure that you're placing your glue a little bit more in to the edges, a little more into the center off of the edges, because your glue is spreading farther than you're allowing it space to, okay? But I personally, it does not bother me to have the glue come out, because then I know that the glue is coming all the way to the edge. Okay, so there's our first one. Then we're going to take our next one, and we're going to go ahead and burnish. Now, we are going to open the flap back up. We're going to lay it down, marking it across the bottom. Leveling it so that it's even flush with the bottom. And let me see if I can get you close enough. Okay, you see where these two are overlapping. This is the hinge, and this is the part we cut out for this flap. Now this flap, I'm going to line up across the bottom. I don't want this overlap because I got 80-pound paper. That's going to add up really quickly. So I'm going to make a mark right below where this hinge is. I made a mark right below that, and I'm going to cut out right across here and on the inside of the score line, so to this side of the score line, and take that score line completely off. Okay, I'm going to just erase any pencil marks that might still be remaining. Keep your area clean and tidy. Okay, and so we folded the flap back over. I better put you out or I will forget. Oh, that's a little too close. Okay. So we're going to fold the flap over, and we're going to put glue on the top side, the side that is facing us now that we've flapped it over. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab our corner, but we're going to stay off this left edge ever so slightly, the same amount that you stayed off of it on this one. So you just kind of want them to line up together as best you can. And then once you're satisfied, oops, I moved way too much and pulled myself right off my edge on the bottom here. Okay, there we go. So these two little pieces aren't glued down, but there's enough of the hinge. I mean, there's 90% or more of the hinge, so it's not going to go anywhere. But it helps cut down the bulk, because you've already got these two overlapping. Just imagine if we had the two hinges overlapping as well. You know, as you build this, you're going to feel that overlap. So everywhere we can keep it from doing that, we're going to be happy campers. Okay, so now we're going to get one of ours, one of the flaps that we did not, because remember at first we only did the 4 flaps that we scored. So now we're going to grab one of them that we did not score. We're going to get our scoreboard. I'm going to place it in there properly. We're going to score it a 1/2 inch. Make sure it's a nice good score line. Now, I am going to take this paper and I'm going to move it this way. Just until that score mark is moved over to the tick mark this side of the 1/2 inch. So it's not in a groove, it's in between. Let me see if I can pick this up and see if you can see that. Can you see that now? It is lined up with this. Here's where I would score, and it's right in between. It's right lined up with the tick mark that's next to it. So once you get that lined up there, you're going to score again. So it's basically not, it's just 2 score lines right exactly next to each other. Okay, so all that does is give you a bit of a wider score. That's it. It's just a bit of a wider score. And let's see, yeah. So here's a single one. I don't know if you can see the difference. I can see it, but here's a single one, and then here's the double one. Big difference. Okay. Anyway, now we still want to try and score it on that first score mark. So when you flip it over, just let it bend over at that first score mark. And it gets a little fussier when you've done this to it, but there we go. Okay, it just, and then you want to kind of stick your fingers in there and just work that score mark so you get to have advantage of that little bit of a deeper score line we just put in there. So just kind of, I'm just kind of rolling, I'm putting my fingers underneath and I'm rolling my thumb over the paper just to kind of get that larger score. So it's going to make your score look more rounded than more crispy creased. Okay, and then we're going to eyeball the center. And this one is actually going to go around the whole backside. And again, it's going to help us with our bulk inside the page, because this is just going to be kind of absorbed into the bulk of the book. Okay, so once we get that eyeballed, we're going to flip it over. Make sure you've got it down against your paper as best you can. Flip it and dip it in glue. Flipper and dipper. Flipper and whipper. I don't know. Okay. Oops. Ah! Had a lot of excess glue on that one. What was I just telling you about? How not to put too much glue on your paper? See, I tell you guys. There's not a right way. There's not a wrong way. There's your way. There's my way. But there ain't no highway. This is just all about being fun and being creative. And when you're being creative, there's no wrong. There's no wrong. So by doing that, I want you to see that everything lines up perfectly. Okay? So if you took, let's see, I just happen to have some of these. This is really super thin paper. But if you took and did, well, I don't know if that one's the same length. Let me make sure I've got the same length, so I don't want to cheat by having a shorter one. Okay, so these are the same lengths. Okay, so these three are the same length. I'm like, wow. Okay, so we put one in front of the other without, you know, clipping the hinges or anything. And you can already see that one is longer than the other. And then you put another one on there over the top. And now you have 3 different lengths. So, yeah, it's all about controlling the bulk. All right, guys? So, now we're going to flip that one open. Honey? Sorry, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, so now we are going to do exactly on the right side of our mat what we just did on the left side. And you want to work this as much as you can and burnish it when you can and things like that, because it just makes it work better as you go along. Okay, so let's see. We're going to fold our 2 that we have already scored. That one's not the scored one. And then this one. Oops. Now that one didn't want to fold right. So let me take a second. If you feel it not wanting to fold just right, just slow down a little bit, because we want to make sure that we're getting these the same size, because if they're not the same size, then there's no way you're really going to be able to hook them together nicely. Okay, so take your time. All right, I'll get my glue going here. Went and had myself some din-din and watched a show with my husband, and then he went to bed, so I am back in the craft room with you guys. So we get to craft together some more. I am just so excited when I get to do this. Yes, because we are having fun. And there's not a lot of that going around right now. Now remember, we're going to not put this right up to the edge, but not very far away either. Make sure you're lining it up across the bottom here. Oh. Didn't it scooch it? It scooched up on me a little bit. Now you do have a little bit of wiggle room with the glue, so don't get panicked. There we go. Just take off any little glue that pops out of there. Check underneath. Give it a good burnish. Okay, now that one I did not cut. I totally forgot about it. So we're just going to cut this one more. And it didn't matter if you put the first one, the top one on, or the second one on. But we're going to figure out where we need to cut the exact same way. We're going to line this up with the top of the mat. And then we're just going to kind of bring it over enough so that we can see where we need to mark to cut. So I am going to cut it right here. Okay. Bring it up so I can show you. There's the end of the hinge. And I'm going to cut it right to, when you're looking at it this way, I'm going to cut this side of my line. I'm not going to cut straight up my line. I'm going to cut just this side of the line. So the only thing I'm going to take off is the line. And then, so let me make sure I'm in. So I'm going to cut the line off of my flap here. And I'm going to cut through the score line. And then I'm going to cut completely the score mark, the score line off. Get it all the way through there. Ah, come on. Just want to be careful you don't cut into the There we go. All right, so now we have it. Throw that little bit away. And then we're going to refold it. And I cut the wrong side. So we're just going to fold it this side. Oh, you guys, it is late. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So now we have, when we flip this over, we have the part that we cut off is going to overlap here, which is what we want. Now remember, when you put it down, you are not going to put it all the way to the edge of the mat. Remember, this is the mat. We want to line it up with the top of the page so that it's nice and straight across here. It's the same distance away, all the way up there. And let's see, I'll fold it over. I'm going to pull it. Oh, I got to pull it down a little bit. Come on. Give me a little bit of room. And we match. And now we can put it down. I want to match right here. So that's why I was pulling this flap that way, so that I would match up. I'm a titch off, but I am not going to worry about a titch. Titch is okay. All right. And if it really bothers you, you can clip it off. But I mean, I am so close. Let me put white there so you can see it. I am so close that it's not even funny. Okay? So, that little teeny bit, once you put paper on it and stuff, people aren't going to notice that little teeny bit. Now, our last one that is not, I'm going to bring you in close so you can see again really well what I'm doing. Okay, make sure let me get it all in screen for you. Now, you want to make sure you're against the ledge all the way on the side and the bottom or the top, whichever way you want to look at it, because that's how you know you're going to get a nice score line exactly where you want it. Now I'm going to score at the 1/2 inch mark, and then I'm going to move this just so it lines up with the little peg after the 1/2 inch mark. So now my score mark lines up with the peg that's right past the 1/2 inch, and then we're just going to score again. And this is just going to make us a nice wider score to go over all of this bulk that we have here. All right, let me pull you out so that I don't forget and you won't be able to see anything that I'm doing, which, believe me, has happened before. Okay, so, but when we fold this, we only want to fold it on this very first, it's the second score line we made is what we want to, so it's the very first one we come to on this end. So that's the one that we want to fold on. So I'm just going to slowly and carefully fold my paper around. Make sure you're lining up on the sides here and here before you burnish down. All right, there we go. And then we're going to, let's close these flaps so that I can match it up with this one. And in order to help me, I'm just going to get these, because the paper underneath, I'm using my thinner black paper because I'm afraid I'm going to run out. And it is not quite as sturdy as the thicker black paper, so it wants to bend. And then I'm not able to figure out if I have a straight line or not. Okay, so now we're going to place it down, line it up both top and bottom, make sure that it looks like it's in place where it needs to be, pinch, turn it over, open your flap. Now, if it doesn't look correct, start all over again. All right. There we go. Okay, give it a little burnish. And we're good. Oh, lots of glue coming out. Yeah, you always want to check. This glue does dry clear, but if it's a gob, you know, you're going to have a little bit of a mess. Okay, so let's take these off and double check how we did. And we can put pockets on this. I'm going to pull you out just a little bit more. There we go. We can put pockets on this, whatever you want to do. But there's our 3 flaps on all 3 sides. This is our top. So we can put a big pocket in here, but we're going to decide on that later, all right? Because we don't have to do that in our basic build. We can do that later. So we're just going to kind of intermix with these and bring this around. And this piece here will work as our closure. I'm just giving that a little workout so that it'll stay where I want it to stay. All right. Okay, guys. So now we have our first type and our second type. So you need to make sure that you've made 2 of these. If you need to back it up and do page 1 or go to page 1. I haven't put these videos together yet, so I don't know. But I think I'm going to do page 1 and page 2 and page 3, you know. And we're going to have 6 total, but the inside front cover and the inside back cover, we're going to do the same. And those won't be on these, those won't go on the tubes that we have. Okay, our base pages, that won't work. All right, so we are getting ready to go on to page 3. Yeah, baby. Let's get going. Do your homework. I need 2 of this style and 2 of this style. And then I will bring you along in a moment or in a couple of days, whichever way it works out, for page number 3. We are getting there, girls. Yay! Okay. Be back in a flash or in a couple days. Love you guys. Thanks so much. Hey, give me a thumbs up if you like what we're doing. And subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss when I put number 3 out or number 4 or number 5. Okay, guys. Bye.